Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings. Week 16 DraftKings Picks in preview for the main slate. Maybe we'll touch on Christmas Day at the very end. So hit the time codes. If you're watching this after the fact, you're killing some time on Christmas Eve. You're like, hey, maybe I should chuck in some lineups for Christmas Day. We should have you covered. The DraftKings Listeners League is not yet full, but it will be very soon. Remember, it's Saturday for the main slate this week, and that's what the contest is going to be. So please jump into that right now. It's down in the description. Additionally, if you want to get into a draw for $500, just hit the description and check out our friends at Odds Checker US. Subscribe to their YouTube channel and comment Mayo below any of their videos. I recommend the Huddle, which I am on in order to do that. But hey, you do that once and boom, you subscribe, you say Mayo below in the comment section, and you're in that draw for $500. So go do that. Toe Tagging Tambo from RunPureSports.com is back from New Orleans.
Back.
How you feeling?
I feel fine. Feel good about
That's
it. It's good experience. Get to go down. It wasn't the result I was looking for, obviously, but in reality, I played it exactly how I'd want to. I'll go back 100 times and do it that same way. It's the same lineup that got second at King of the Beach last year. It's the same lineup that got sixth at King of the Beach this year, process I'm talking, and got me the seat into it. So can't be mad that it didn't go wrong. I had one lineup. I played my best lineup. It was not a best lineup this week. I know you had a good week yourself, though, and had some fun. We're giving away money, right? We still got $1,000 to give away. We're having fun. It's Christmas, giveaway season. Love it.
So there are currently over 10,000 entries in just the webpage that I set up to get people to enter. There's an additional 9,400 entries from retweets, shares, everything like that. The people that didn't go through this page, I was able to get it all factored in. So I need you to pick a number between 1 and 19,741.
Oh, man. 19,000. 12. What would it be? 1,286? No, 12,886.
Wow.
January 28th, 86 is my birthday, so we'll go with that.
At Jim Clare, like Jim as in going to the gym, Claire, you're the winner of the $1,000 giveaway for Christmas. Woo! Congratulations. Thank you, Tambo.
Congrats.
So Tambo will reach out to you. Yeah, at Jim Clare. Andy S. So they just typed him in onto Twitter.
Do the send to me, because that was the other thing with this PayPal situation. Sometimes there's some fraudsters. I don't know how they do it, but they somehow get basically the exact same Twitter handle, and then they come in like, hey, I won the draw, thanks. And I have to like make sure, but with the guys we've had the past 2 weeks, I already sent that money out, of course. Congrats to them as well. They were legit. So if you got this, guys, just DM it to me, and I'll get to them after the show.
I just DM'd it to you.
Appreciate it. Also, quick note, taking over for you didn't know this, but $200 encore. Anyone who listens to this and goes today and retweets Tambo's tidbits, I'm going to select one person that retweets the tidbits and send an additional $200 Christmas bonus to, just because.
I can't imagine how much money you would have given away if you would come first.
Oh, I would have given a lot more away if I had to come first. Trust me, it's $2.5 million up top. We'll get that next year, though. Keep listening. Keep tuning in. We'll be back. We'll get the bigger giveaways going. Don't worry.
So walk us through, this is your first time at the Fantasy Football DraftKings World Championship,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between that? Obviously, it's in New Orleans, and King of the Beach was in San Diego this year. Is there a stark difference between like the setup, the hospitality? Like, do they have different vibes to them?
Definitely a little bit different vibe. This one is more... to me, it was more high-end. Like, it was exactly what you thought it would be. It was the best players in the world. You know, a lot of the names that you know from the tops of the leaderboards. It was a lot more families, wives. It's a big deal. That's what I think people don't understand, and why my takeaway is I left it on the plane. Obviously, I'm disappointed, but 110 people made it, basically, because 90 of the entries and whatnot were made up from a certain small group of 20 people that get 10 entries, 9 entries, 8 entries, like the board listed down from there. So basically a 1 in 110 shot in the entire world to get to this tournament where you have a chance at life-changing money. You already got 20 grand walking in the door, and then you get there. There was people bringing in with their extra seats, 7 seats, bringing grandparents and family members. It's a different vibe based on that. It's a huge deal to the people that take this seriously and play it at the level that I do, and their levels in some cases even higher. So definitely a different atmosphere for sure. King of the Beach, fun, laid back. We're here, sunny, beautiful San Diego. We're having fun, 200 grand up top. A lot of first timers. You can get in for $5 there. You meet some great people because it's like, hey, I just play with my son and we got in one week for $5. Like, that's an incredible story. And what the best part of King of the Beach is, all of that. This, much more serious. If you're watching a movie of a competition or something, whether it's a basketball game or my daughter watches gymnastics and stuff like that, and you see the feel inside the building, this is what that was like at this event. It's definitely a higher end feeling.
Are there people who don't handle the stress very well, and you can see it on their faces?
Oh yeah, for
like
sure.
The tilt factor through the
big
roof.
Time. People leaving the room. I've even done that myself. I don't do that necessarily because I'm pissed off. It's just I look to change the vibe up. But there was definitely, when the event ended, put it this way, I stuck around for the trophy ceremony. I can't remember who. I think it's Stephon Diggs. The story about him sticking around and wants to see the trophy presented or whatever, because, that's part of it. You learn from that. You see what you got to feel, what that feels like to maybe be there next year. It's just a mindset thing. I stuck around for it. There was not very many people that stuck around for the trophy ceremony. I think they're there to win. They did not perform well. Some of them with 7+ entries. They're pissed off. That was their opportunity.
That was different from my experience at the Fantasy Baseball World Championship. I had to stick around for the trophy because I had to give the trophy out.
Right.
Jeff Collins won that year. Shout out Jeff Collins. But everyone kind of stuck around for it.
Yeah.
But it was also it was in New York. It was late. It was really late at night.
Maybe that's a factor as well. Again, remember the time change and whatnot. But I think it was only 5:30.
Yeah, you could probably give people at dinner reservations.
People were going out to eat, things like that. But you got to remember too, a lot of people are into this event for big money.
Big money, yeah.
Right? Some of those folks with 7+ entries are in for over 100 grand on buy-ins to get to that level. Now they get back
or more,
$20K a piece. So they maybe.
I bet you there's guys who had 5 entries in there that if they didn't place well, they probably still lost money on the year trying to qualify for this.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that happened for sure. One guy that I talked to be unnamed, but just said with his score, he got to positive equity on the season on those qualifiers, but he was happy about that, and he had a big weekend otherwise. But just to say it, that's the point, right? So that's why some people are extremely disappointed in it. For me, big opportunity, let go. But like I said, if I think about all the winning factors, the goal was to get there. 110 people in the entire world that tried got there, basically, with all the multi-entries and using the same strategy that worked so well for me this past year. And the year's not over. Still a December to remember. 555 Mega Millionaire Maker tomorrow. We're going to ship something big before the year ends.
Maybe I'll enter that. I cashed out most of my money. Because
put one in. Treat yourself, Pat.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
But I gotta save I'm about to lose a whole bunch of money playing golf. I gotta save some bankroll for golf season.
I can't wait.
By the way, if you want to join the Tournament of Champions DraftKings Listeners League, there's 2,500 spots. That link is down in the description right now.
3 less spots because I'm in it.
There we go.
It's gonna be good.
I think there's already 500 people in it,
yes.
So people need to jump on that one pretty early. That's really cool, though. I don't try to qualify in any sort of serious way. I'll see if there's a bit of overlay on one of the $25 ones or $50 ones that I see on a Sunday morning. It's yeah, I'll throw one into that, see if I can beat 3,000 other people or whatever it is. But I just feel like qualifiers unless you're serious about it, you're just going to lose.
Even if you are serious about it, you're likely to lose. But it's a lot of fun. Thanks to everybody for all the support. Obviously, appreciate that. Always try and give back and do as much as I can. But there was a lot of people that reached out, and I definitely appreciate it. It's, again, like I said, not what I wanted, but we live and learn and we move on, and I'm not too disappointed. We'll get back.
They had the Rainmakers thing at the same time. Right? So did you meet Wiley?
Actually, Wiley had something come up, so he didn't end up making it. I reached out. We were chatting back and forth, but he didn't end up making it in the end. So a lot of people there, though, were there for the Rainmakers thing. They had a tournament with 250K up top at the exact same time. So that was a little bit weird, too, when you go on all the events and stuff. It's like DFS or Rainmakers? Absolutely not Rainmakers, folks, but DFS for me.
Well, if you won the 250K up top for Rainmakers, you'd get your investment back from Rainmakers.
It's possible. Hey, I don't want to be too mean, but yeah, I think it was either way. It was fun, and that was where there was kind of the King of the Beach feel of some first timers and some things. Even though I'm a first timer, seeing people that were really excited, people taking pictures and doing things like that. So either way, good experience all around.
So I'm going to jump on runthesims.com right now, runthesims.com/Mayo to get yourself that discount. Just join the weekly right now. You can have access to all the projections, all the tools, DFS, all DFS, plus props, betting tools, head-to-head stuff, everything like that, completely customizable. Here's what the Opto spit out for me for the main slate. Danny Jones at quarterback with Richie James at wide receiver, Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry at running back, DK Metcalf, Byron Pringle, my guy, heir to the chip fortune, got a touchdown last week, Travis Kelce at tight end, Dalton Schultz as the flex, and Eagles defense as the defense. Don't love this lineup.
I don't love it. It's not. I mean, the interesting part of it that stands out to me, just doing the overview and getting in before we get to the show, obviously just looking at everything, is like Kelsey gets in there with those two running backs. I think that's...
And DK. I mean, DK, I think, projects out to be the best play on the slate.
Worst for me, but probably best for most, yes.
Well, I'm just talking about like pure, we'll talk about optimal rates then.
Yeah, when you look at that, I mean, he's going to be super over-owned, but I get why. And again, they have injury there and stuff that makes sense.
Well, according to, it depends on what your ownership projection of him is right now, because he actually still has a positive optimal leverage score at this point on Run the Sims. He is projected to be 19% owned and appears in the optimal lineup 22% of the time.
Whew. The Sims must be really keeping the weather in check in those other games to make it pop that much. I don't know. 22% optimal seems high for a guy like him, but we'll see.
It must be just the down. I mean, if we're talking about it, like Marquise Goodwin at $4,300 seems like a great play.
Could easily do the same thing. Yeah. That's the whole point why the difference lies. Again, Metcalf and cash, high stakes, everything. Like, I get why you're just going to plug him in at $7,100. It works. He's a fair price. There's injury. It's a good matchup. The back and forth. We think GENO can keep up with Mahomes. Definitely. Look, the friggin' Houston Texans can keep up with Mahomes apparently. So if you look at it from that perspective, all makes sense. I just feel like it's high. And again, his ownership is going to be pushing close to 20 as well. So it still matches up there, but it seems high.
Out of like the high-end running backs, when we look at like overall optimal rates for the week, I was shocked to see Derrick Henry wasn't in the top 5. He's number 6, but I thought that was surprising. It's McCaffrey, Metcalf, Amon-Ra, Kelsey, Cook.
Yeah, McCaffrey, smash. What's his optimal percentage?
20. He's the highest. He's 23.4% with a projected ownership of 26%. And all ownerships are going to be inflated this week because there's only, 10 games? 9 games?
5 maybe? When you take out everything? No, I know what you mean, a 10-game slate, but yes, people are chopping it down and looking to make it a little bit easier this week, I think.
Well, let's do that. Well, we can do that right now. I did want to tell you, though, I'm sure you've done this already, but if you out there want to play in the race for the Mayo Cup, $50,000 to first place, drop that link down in the description. You can go to fantasygolfchampionships.com. You can have up to 5 entries. It's $125 per entry. And you make 1 pick per week. Like, that's $125 for the year.
Yeah, I suck at it. It is the best contest. It's incredible, and I'm terrible at it, and I'm still going to max it because it's just the best spot.
Well, someone asked me, it's like, well, I don't know anything about golf. It's like, I was like, this is actually the perfect thing to get into.
Pick a guy.
Pick one guy per week. You can just use the guys that you know, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, you might do better. Like I said, I'm horrible at it this year. Last year, I think I played 2 or 3, and I was trying to run a strategy. This year, I'm just going to max it, make it easier to cover some angles and stuff.
I maxed it last year. I might just do 1 this year.
Oh, yeah. No, I can't do 1. That's when I get screwed. Because I want to play this guy and then I flip on to this guy at the last minute. I think I got a good strategy for it this year. And the contest, like I said, for the cost per value, base it up over per week and what's up top and how balanced it is.
It's $3 per week. It's $50K to first. Like, only 10% of the prize pool goes to first prize. So it's a bit different than probably what you're used to in some of these DFS contests. Yeah. I wanted to structure it sort of like my contest. Yeah. My DraftKings contest is structured in the same way. Where
fair and balanced.
Yeah, like, listen, I don't want you to come in 10th and feel like this was a waste of time. If you come in 10th in this, I think it's still it's close to 10 grand. I think.
I thought it was 7,500.
Maybe it is 7,500.
I might be off, but
it's almost 25% full already. So
do you know how the payout works? Did last year they did it? I think it was 30,000 for first. This year it's bumped. Isn't
No, it was 50,000.
It was still 50. Yeah, and they pay it out from the site right away, or how does it work?
Yeah, because we do it through Sports Hub, who owns League Safe.
Right.
So they have all the money. It's secure. It's all just in escrow there, and then the moment you get paid out, boom, pops back up in your account, and you're good to go. Yeah, prize is $50K to first, 35 grand to second, 25 grand to third, 20, 15, 12, 50. 10 grand to 7th, it is $7,000 to 10th.
There it was. Yeah.
But if you come in 42nd, you get $1,000.
Yeah, this is the tournament. Honestly, like I said, you pick a guy, you get their money every week that they make in the tournament. You get to play them only once. It adds up. You can play it with some strategy. There's some great players that do well consistently in it.
There's a couple guys who really have the strategy figured out. I am not one of those guys.
Me neither, but it's still the most fun you can have, and it's the easiest. You click one button every week, basically.
Yeah, and you can set it up that it'll text alert you. It's like, hey, you need to make your pick for this week just so you don't forget. People really enjoyed that feature last year. So
me included.
fantasygolfchampionships.com. The link is down in the description. Like I said, you can enter up to 5 times. And if you do want a spot, I would recommend getting one right now because people every single year, because it starts at the Sony Open, not the Tournament of Champions. Like the week of, it's like, well, I wanted to get a spot in the one and done. It's like, well, it's fucking full.
Yeah.
Not my fault. I've told you about this for a month.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want? Or the week after, it's sort of, can I still join it even though it already started? It's like, no, it fucking filled 10 days ago.
Looking for rebuys, man. Looking for rebuys.
Yeah, I'm actually working on something. It won't be in place for this year, but for next year, golf best ball.
Nice. I would love that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
that and a Survivor League with cuts made.
Oh, I like that too. Yeah, anything golf. I'm excited for it to come back. Obviously, that's where you'll find me in the DFS streets and everything going on there. So it's going to be good. We're getting it back in just 2 weeks.
Yeah, me and Feinberg are dropping our season preview on Monday. Then we're doing the draft. That'll come out the following Monday.
We're recording ours on
Kenny
Tuesday,
will be back?
and then we'll be back. Yeah, and then so we're recording our preview on Tuesday, and then you and I and Kenny and the rest of the crew will all be on Wednesday for the draft.
There's 14 of us.
It's a lot.
It's probably too many. But hey, we're going to have some fun with it. Everyone, I wasn't able to get, like, that's the shitty thing. Like, when you start adding to it, like, we started with 6, we went to 10. Now we're going to go to 14. Like, I can't invite everybody, which I'm sure makes people feel bad, but, like...
I had to miss it last year, too, so
I
I'm just
can't have
happy to be
fucking
on
30
this year.
people on a Zoom call and try to do a show.
And you got to have enough golf. I mean, we can go for days. All of us can go down a lengthy list of golfers, but I think it's solid with 14. That's probably a good number.
Let's talk about the weather, because there are legitimate concerns. I'm not concerned at all about how cold it's going to be. It's the wind that is going to be the biggest problem for me. Because you take a game like Houston, Tennessee, it's going to be cold in Tennessee. It's not going to be windy in Tennessee.
Right.
Therefore, I don't care. I mean, I would prefer games be indoors, but are there any cross-off games for you this week? Just like, nope, too much weather, not doing it.
No. Like I said, I'll just, again, will there be games that I probably don't get to? It looks like some, that I just won't have guys from, and I don't know exactly what those will be.
How about Cleveland, New Orleans?
I just want to give you the example. I was just going to go there. I said the only one I really want to talk about is that, because I want to bring it up,
but people like Shahid in that game now that Landry and Olave are out. He's $3,500. He's a deep ball guy.
Yeah.
He actually is shaping up to be like a perfect Pat Mayo type play. But
I'm going to play him. I don't care. That's what I was just going to say. Like, that's why if people are crossing that game off, go ahead. It may not work, but I'm going to play Chubb too. For sure. I'm going to play. Look at what Tyler Algier did to these guys last week. And now Chubb, I don't care how cold it is, snowy it is, whatever it is, there's a 32.5 point total. It's not a 20 point total. They're not saying they're not going to score or nobody's going to do nothing. So that's where I think people get very confused. We're playing DFS. I need one guy to do something for fantasy points. Can Shahid catch enough balls at that price? Yes. Can Jawan Johnson catch more balls? I don't expect what he's going to do last week. I'm just giving examples, though, in this game. You can see a lot of stuff happen. And again, grown-ass men that are on the field very happy to embrace this situation. Doesn't mean it will work. The quarterbacks aren't great, but the point being, you can definitely find your way through. And I think Chubb could have a big game here. Actually, I think he's a great tournament play. Not going to be a guy I'm heaviest on, but I'm going to play some of him in this spot.
Chubb with Shahid, bring back.
Perfect.
Or Jawan Johnson.
Or just play Chubb. Yeah, one of those two, definitely.
So just looking at it right now, you put this in the tidbits. Again, at Tag and Tambo on Twitter, and you said if you retweet it, then you're going to draw for another $200. So you might as well go do that.
Giving it away.
And it's got. I'm just looking at the weather information that you put in here right now. I think this one's from Kevin Roth at Kevin Roth WX. He does all the weather. Is he still at Grinders?
Yep, he is. Yeah, he still does the weather, but it's the best breakdown of it. So I think it's a free tool that they have that you can check out. That it's look at it, and he's got the breakdown for sure.
Yeah. So just kind of scrolling through it, like Atlanta, Baltimore looks like it could get windy. It's going to be super windy in the Cleveland game. Other than that, it doesn't seem to be outside of cold. There's not like a ton of precipitation in a lot of these places, so I'm not sweating it. Although, will say, I always, no matter what time of year it is, I always enjoy the fast track indoor games, so like as a tiebreaker between anything.
But to me, that's the whole point. Of course, that's every week anyway. We know what these dome games are, and they're with the totals, and they're where the ownership is going for good reason. But to just, like I said, to write everything off just because of weather, everyone's going to shorten it completely and leave them all out. I get it. And a lot of lineups will be built around that. You build around a game environment. But I don't think you have to leave a guy like Chubb alone. Like, read his weather. You just said, we pull it up on the tidbits, the last line. What's the last line? I just had it in my head here. We're talking 25 to 30 mile per hour sustained winds, wind gusts 40 to 50.
Running.
Substantial. Insane. Deep passes and field goals are going to be very difficult.
So Shahid maybe not the best play. Jawan Johnson maybe the better play.
I still think Shahid can catch for his price the short passes and then do something with them. Maybe a guy slips up or anything could happen.
And they enjoy a good jet sweep with him as well.
Yeah, all those options. But again, you don't always have to run it back either. That's something we see all the time where it just gets to be like a rule. You don't have to. I really think that Chubb is an interesting play here. The stat, I also posted that in the tidbits of him in 5 seasons with the numbers that he's put up.
He's Barry Sanders.
It's insane. But no one cares about him or thinks about him because of that. Oh, and he doesn't catch passes. He still crushes. So, like I said, he's not my highest owned guy or something. I just want to bring it up when we talked weather that I do have interest in him in that spot. And everyone else is paying for, and me included, Cook, McCaffrey, Henry, those guys. You're going to want to get to those guys, of course. It's an option.
I have random running backs I really like this week.
Okay.
I'll get to in a second. Scott Barrett is the one that you put into the tidbits. There are only 86 instances of a running back averaging 5 or more yards per carry on 190 plus carries. Here are the only running backs with 3 or more such seasons. Nick Chubb is tied with Jim Brown, Barry Sanders, and Jamal Charles as the only players in history to have 5 of them.
And it was like, and he's 5 for 5 or something.
Yeah,
right?
he's 5 for 5.
So that's the example that he's very good. It seems like a good spot. I don't know if there'll be late steam. I don't see him popping anywhere, but he's 7,700. And like I said, Tyler Algier just ran all over these guys last week, so I think Chubb will be okay.
Let's take a look here at the projected ownership at running back right now. McCaffrey, Henry, Cook, Barkley, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then Jarek.
Yeah, back to the wild, Jarek.
If I had just played, like in my winning lineup last week, I had Pacheco instead of Jarek. Although I could have had Jarek, I would have won way more money.
You would have got first.
Well, I would have got first in that, but I think I would have won my listeners' league as well.
Oh, gosh.
With the same lineup. I would have placed like top 10 in the giant $3.
That's what it's funny you say that. Quick live final story. There was like one team that played Jerick McKinnon in there. I think maybe 1 or 2 more, but one that was kind of in the running. So they're going nuts for every single play. He's got the Chiefs jersey on and everything. And I think just from my eyesight looking around, everybody in the building wanted to kill this guy because it was like, man, every time he got like a 3-yard catch and run, he's going absolutely nuts. And people are just like, oh my God, this guy is just painful. But I don't know how he ended up doing. I didn't know his username. Probably did quite well. He was cheering late to the end. So good for him and congrats. But it was pretty funny to watch because everybody else was on Pacheco, right? He was 22% owned or something.
Yeah, and well, this week it's kind of the opposite when you start looking at the ownerships. It's McKinnon who has the ownership of Pacheco. Like Pacheco has some. He's like 8% or something. But Jarek's coming in at like 13, 14 now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I have a little concern with McKinnon, not because of Pacheco, not because of ownership, not anything really. I mean, that adds to it. But
well, the Chiefs are going to lay a beat down on someone here soon, and then Jarek's going to do nothing.
That's possible. They also, I believe, they get Hardman back this week too.
Andy Reid said that he's unlikely to play now.
Oh, okay. It did switch back.
Now
okay.
he could still play.
I was checking to see on that one. That at least again, not that was the be all end all either, but that's a thought process that I had. So either way, again, I think you're paying up at running back. I'm interested to hear who some of your guys down below are, but the guys up top make sense for what they are.
The main guy is the main guy. I mean, I don't know about J.K. Dobbins, but I love him in this spot this week against Atlanta. It's one of these cold games. We know Baltimore's going to run. No Lamar again. They're going to continue to pound it on the ground. I know their offense is atrocious, but he has looked awesome in 2 games since he's come back. Mm-hmm. And he might only get his 15 carries, but he's a good price. He's like $5,700. I think he's gone up for over 100 yards in both games since he's been back, and this is by far his easiest matchup.
Can't do worse than Kamara against them last week, so might as well use that same thought process of Algier against the Saints. You can use, Kamara last week was horrible against Atlanta and thought he would do great, and now
maybe it's just Kamara's bad.
Bad, yeah.
There's
been
chance.
Bad for sure. There's always issues.
Just one problem, not any good.
Yeah, I think he had all his touchdowns in one game, but yeah, you could definitely do it. I mean, it's another topic for conversation, but it does tie into those Ravens. Is that Mark Andrews 5,500
on
the slate? Huntley 5,300. If you don't have to.
Here's the thing. I think there are equally as cheap quarterbacks or cheaper quarterbacks I'd rather play. Like I could see Andrews as a standalone because I think if anyone does anything on this team,
that's possible too.
It's hit. And even if Andrews goes off, I don't know if it gets Huntley there.
That's true.
Yeah,
I mean that's what all I was thinking is if Andrews actually gets his 2 touchdowns,
then Huntley will do well. But is Huntley? Even if Andrews scores 2 touchdowns, let's say, in this game, and Huntley picks up some rushing stats, like he has, let's say, a pretty good game, is he actually going to outscore Sam Darnold or Mac Jones, who's the 2 guys who are cheaper, or Jared Goff, who's $100 more, Daniel Jones, who's $300 more, Malik Willis, who's $4,900, Minshew, who's $4,800?
Yeah, that's the issue.
I would say no.
Jones and Minshew are more of a concern for me because they're solid for their price tags and what they can do and who they have attached to them, the spots, all of those factors. Even the Goff call, we'll talk about Detroit, I'm sure. They've been playing some good ball, and a lot of those guys appear in my stuff at least for what makes sense.
There is just a very easy play of that game for me. Just Amon-Ra and DJ Moore. Just there you go. There's your mini correlation stack for the
Yeah,
week.
but I mean, going back to it again, and you want to play those running backs, if those guys get there, their quarterback comes with them. People keep leaving this off for some reason. They'll play a guy and not the quarterback with them, where if the guy gets there, like, oh, I'm going to play Terry McLaurin this week. If Terry McLaurin breaks the slate, Taylor Heineke is with him.
Yes.
You need to do, like, that's where people miss that step, I think. Again, you don't have to build that way, but I want those high-priced running backs. For you, maybe not the case if you're going to be able to do a J.K. Dobbins and some other guys down below. You don't need it.
I was thinking, like, when I started to do a few prelim builds, it was a lot of J.K. Dobbins. It was a lot of Ramondre at 7,100 instead of going all, like, if you don't use Henry or McCaffrey, there are substantial savings to be had because everyone is going up to one of those two guys and trying to pair him with Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I'm trying to play both of them. Like that, to me, those two guys are awesome. I don't love the Cook play as much just because, again, I get it. He's 7,200 and popular. A lot of his stuff that you'll see that people talking about from last week, if you remember, was the OT game, the insanity of that, the last-minute 65-yard check down and run to get them there, all those factors. Could he do it again? Yes. Is the game environment good? Yes. But is there other options that I could just pay up for it? Big time. So I like that more.
There are a few quarterbacks this week. Like, there's no one quarterback really pushing like high-end ownership. It's like it's Minshew and Daniel Jones 1 and 2, and then it's like Cousins and Mahomes.
It feels like even the Cousins Mahomes stuff is already down to 10%.
That's what I have.
Because the other stuff. So
I have
that to me is
11.
not even ownership, because then when you start stacking in with them, like, what is Juju going to be? What is Kelsey going to be? What is, so, and I don't play Mahomes, so I don't care, but I'm just saying, in this spot, I can see why people are doing it. I'm looking to play those running backs at the same price as him and use my money there.
Well, the first stack I'm going to talk about, or at least the first build that I'm going to talk about, is going to have the winning best quarterback in it, and we have to figure out how to build around him. More on that in a second. He's like 3% owned. So that's probably the route that you want to go, but I want to talk defense first.
Okay.
Who are we going to fill out our defenses with? I think the Saints are going to be the popular option. They're only $2,800. That game total is 31.5. It's against Deshaun Watson, who has a noodle arm all of a sudden. I don't know. I mean, I've talked about this a bunch of times. I don't know if I want to play a defense that's going to face 51 rushing attempts.
You want to know something? This couldn't get even better. I did not look at the ownership on defense before coming in here, and this just speaks to my Chubb play even more. Let me jam them. What was the week? Carolina was the chalk D 20%, and no one played Mixon. Bang-o, 56 points. What are we going to do here? New Orleans, 20%. See you later. $7,700 Chubb is going to run all over these guys, and I don't care. So that's awesome because they're not on my list of defenses, that's for sure.
Eagles and Cowboys as well. The Eagles are $2,200.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good price. But again, like Dallas and Philly, I can see that. That could be a really high-scoring game. That could be a really low-scoring game. I have no real feel for what that game is going to look like. But outside of that, like, it's tough to find a cheap D that you really want to get behind. The one I was thinking of, that if you're going to take a chance, is Washington at $2,400. This will be the first time that Purdy actually sees a good defense with a real pass rush.
Chase Young,
and everyone else coming at you too.
Yeah.
Like their defense has been good without Chase Young.
Definitely don't hate that. I'm looking at some other ownership projections. I see like a balanced 8 to 15% range on a bunch of these teams we're talking about. Now, the Commanders are not in there, so I definitely like that. I was also going to say the only pay-up option I really have interest in this week is actually either Cleveland on the opposite side.
I was going to say Cleveland.
I was going to say Cleveland on the opposite side, yes, or the opposite of what you just said, and just take those 49ers against Heineke. I've been beaten up on them all season. It's worked quite well. You don't have to pair this up because this pairing like seemingly is what everyone wants to continue to do and never really works. But like Cleveland D crushed and Chubb didn't that week at King of the Beach. This is a spot though if you were playing McCaffrey and wanted to pair with the 49ers D and just hope that it works out for both of them, I would have no problem with it. But mostly going to be paying down, and looks like everybody else is. The Ravens look to be the popular 3K and above defense.
I like the Ravens a lot. I completely understand that. I only have them showing 6% ownership, though.
Yeah, I'm opposite on that one. I think I watched enough of Desmond Ridder last week to know like it's safe plays or running, and the safe plays are like they're just bad throws, throw out of bounds, or not even come close to. I think what was it? London got. I think he got 80 of his 90 yards or 72 of his 90 pass yards. They were pretty safe throws that he was getting to him that were fair. So I just don't see it. The Ravens are a great D. They put up points. I don't need to play them at that ownership. I think there's other options down below.
How about the Lions at 35?
Don't have them on my list. Again, if I'm paying up for it, which I don't even know how much I am this week, but it's those other two teams.
I'm good with Cleveland like you. They were the ones
Cleveland,
I identified.
49ers. I got two for you, though, down low. Okay. One is massive leverage. Take the Houston defense against Malik Willis and the ownership on Derrick Henry. this is the thing where Derrick Henry could still get, like, look at what we saw last week, the Indy D. It had at one point, it had 32 points. But in the end, I think they got 18 points. And what did Dalvin Cook have, 30? I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know what Dalvin Cook ended with last week, but my point being, Dalvin Cook smashed.
They end up with the 2 touchdowns. That really goes a long way.
Well, of course, yeah. Just Malik Willis could make mistakes, and it's $2,500. So I think Houston leverage is a good play. I also think the other one that if you're just not going to land, look, I think Josh Allen can have a good game here.
If you need the money,
if you need the money, and you don't, here's the thing: you and I have talked about this plenty of times on this show, strategy shows, everything. You get to your build and you realize there's no Diggs, there's no Allen. Like, you didn't play any of them anyway. Why not just play against them? Who cares? If you need the money and you land on Chicago, I got no problem going with them either. So
I think most people will not do that, and they will use the Eagles D at 22 instead. And honestly, I don't know if there's that big of a gap between the potential fantasy output of those teams. Like, I'm looking at the bust rate between those two teams right now. Like, the bust rate for the Seahawks is the highest except for the Falcons this week. The Falcons' bust rate is like 65%, and their boom rate is super low. But comparably, Philadelphia and the Bears, based on 10,000 simulations, it's a 15% boom rate for the Eagles, a 47% bust rate for their defense at $2,200. The Bears, a 12% boom rate, a 55% bust rate. That's pretty equal.
Yeah.
And the ownership is going to be 4 times less for the Bears for $200 cheaper. I get why you wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, I know why people don't want to do it. That's exactly it. I don't know. I've had decent success with it. I've played defenses against Mahomes and got there. I've played defenses against Allen. Plenty. Allen had those 2 really bad weeks, actually, where the defenses, I think, got 10 or 11 against them. And this is a 2K defense. If they get 10 or 11 points, you're laughing. So,
well, think of it. I think the best way to look at it this week is the Ravens are $3,200 and the Bears are $2,000, right?
Yeah.
That is the difference between Christian McCaffrey and, well, Nick Chubb.
Yeah, pretty much. Close enough.
Or Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook this week. Like, wouldn't you rather have Derrick Henry?
Yeah, and I think it'll matter more. I mean, the example is great, but I think it matters more at wide receiver. Because we know those are the running backs we want to play. At wide receiver, it's like, are you punting down to Richie James? Or can you go up to somebody at, I don't know who's at 5,100 or whatever it would be, but just to give you an example, like you said, I mean, you're pretty close to Slayton. Do you like Slayton more than Richie James? I don't know. Gabe Davis is 5,000. Again, that's against Chicago, but the idea would be something like that. You can pick a different spot. My point is just more that's where you might want the savings.
It's the difference between Donovan Peoples-Jones and Terry McLaurin.
Right. Better example. What do you want in your lineup? The slate dynamics are what drive it. That's where I'm at with you, where you want these. If you don't want to have the same structured build as everyone else, that's just a way you could get a little bit difference. That's $1,200. It goes a long way.
So let's build some lineups. The lineup that I won with last week was a lineup I made on the show.
I remember. I got told that. And I was like, damn. The irony, I sent it to text. Obviously, I wasn't getting to that anyway myself personally with one lineup, but just the irony, we always joked about how when I'm not at the studio, I always seemingly win. The one week I'm not at the studio thinking, hey, this would be the good week to do it.
I win.
And you win, and I'm not there, and I needed what was on the show. So, yeah, hopefully this week we bounce back, we find some winners, do what we can to get it done. So I love this part of the show. Everybody loves this part.
Let's start with the best play on the slate,
in
my mind. Justin Fields.
Whew.
No one's using him. This Bills D can be had, especially by running back or running quarterbacks. I don't know who to pair him with. I don't know who to use on the Bills with him, but I just think that he puts up like 35 DraftKings points. Yeah, that's my read on this game.
The interesting part is he does have cheap pairing partners based on the injury setup.
So you could put in Kmet at 44. You could use Byron Pringle, who's like nothing.
I think we use Pringle. He's your boy.
He is my boy. But
what are they going to do with the other guys? What do they got? Pettis. They've got
that's like
their boy Velas.
Velas Jones Jr. He's like 94 years old.
He looks like it. I don't know how old he actually is.
He was a rookie. He's 20. I think he's 26 now.
Yeah.
But Claypool's out. Equinemius St. Brown is out. Mm-hmm. Obviously, no Mooney Tunes. So yeah, let's go with old Pringle here. Throw in Byron Pringle. So there we go. Fields and Pringle, $7,500 and $3,100.
Yeah, should note you can definitely just do this. Like you just stop there and pick a run back.
I don't want to use 2 pass catchers.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't sure if you're going to try and add Kmet. That's so we can
no,
but
you can do Fields Pringle. You can do Fields Kmet. I feel better with Kmet because I feel like his upside is actually somewhat substantial because he could catch 2 touchdowns. Pringle caught 1 last week. I suppose he could catch 2, but he's not quite as involved as Kmet is. And it's not like they ever ask Kmet to block all that often. Like just a lot of short routes for him. And if it does get windy in that game, then those are still passes that Justin Fields can complete. What do you do on the Bills side, though?
Man, even just looking real quick before the Buffalo side, the Komet spot is 4,400.
Yeah.
God, there's just so many dudes there that I think could crush him. So I like the Pringle call personally for this build.
Because you like the tight ends better.
I just I feel like my build will land somewhere else there. And plus, Pringle just gets us a lot more savings elsewhere. And we talk about this all the time. If we do, I hope we can build a Detroit stack today or something in that game. That's when where we'll see, Pat, you can go like Goff, Chark, Amon-Ra.
You don't want to use Chark this week.
An example, though. I'm just saying I'm going to double stack Goff if I'm playing him. So
yes.
I'm going to take the risk on. But I'm saying what we talked about 2 weeks ago is where people are like playing all these chalk wide receivers. One of them bound to bust. When you have Amon-Ra, Chark, and Moore, while Moore will pick up some ownership, we'll get there. The point is you've still used your 3 wide receiver spots on a game environment. So now it's like fill in the blanks. This one here allows us to use a guy that's in the game for 3,100 that does pair well. And if Fields runs he's been running for over 100 yards a game on top of what he does. If he catches one to Pringle, you're in a good start here, and you don't need to be that crazy. You're already so off the board with your roster construction.
I actually like the other side of this too. Allen.
I do too.
Like I think that this game is going to, and listen, I've been way wrong on some of these, but I think this is a perfect type of game environment where it's a little bit cold. People were like, well, I don't know if it's going to be off. It was pretty fucking cold in Buffalo last Saturday night, by the way.
Yeah, what did he run for? 77?
Yeah,
he put up 30.
I believe there was almost 60 points in that game.
Yeah, he crushed. That game last weekend, by the way, incredible sports weekend. From the morning, ultimate comeback, the Saturday, that night, the Buffalo-Miami game. You wake up Sunday morning and you go to the World Cup was just incredible. And then that afternoon, the walk-off by the Raiders. Just a nuts sports weekend. But yes, going back to this, the Buffalo side is interesting. Who do you like on the other side? Because I have a take, but go ahead.
Obviously, I like Diggs because he's the best receiver on the other side of the ball.
Right.
Unfortunately, he's $8,500, which we can fit in this lineup because we've used Pringle at 31 and the rest of our lineup isn't destroyed. You could go to Dawson Knox if you wanted to, or just take the shot that, hey, this is once every 4th week, Gabe Davis time.
It's Gabe Davis time.
All right, there we are.
5K. We got to try it. It makes perfect sense. The explosiveness that he could have, the fact that he could have the upside there. Again, let's keep it cheap there. We want to get to these running backs while still having a quarterback with floor and upside combination.
What was, how many routes did Beasley run last week?
Oh, I forgot about that.
I feel like Beasley's going to start getting involved in this offense.
God.
Don't you? Paul, you watch that. The Bills are your team. Did you see the Bees out there doing some work?
3,700.
He gets mixed in, but obviously he hasn't been around this form of the team in a while. So
11 snaps, 1 target.
yeah,
Not very much action for a game
very
that was
much.
action-packed.
I know.
It's
First game back,
Singletary.
though. You like Singletary in this one?
He's from Detroit, so the kid's not going to be afraid of the cold.
Yeah.
I don't know about James Cook in these type of conditions. Like, it's not going to be like snowy or anything, but I could see it being a Singletary game.
How much is Singletary? I didn't even
54?
think. 54? That's pretty
Nobody's
good.
going to play him.
No.
I'll tell you that
Nobody's
much.
playing him, yeah.
That
And
does,
like the Bears aren't afraid to give up points to running backs.
this is true. The Bears defense, not good.
Yeah, the Buffalo running back, Josh Allen, good. So that's the only issue. That's back to your original point. Again, he comes with the cost. I think it's always been interesting this season. We've had Brissett go off again. Like guys against Josh Allen, we always talk about the quarterback one correlation. It's just it's not a super flex league we play. We play classic slate where you can only pick one quarterback. So I don't mind having the other side. I like the Fields call. I like Fields, Pringle, Gabe Davis, all the money in the world we want to spend while still having a good quarterback.
And to look at it right now, Josh Allen projected ownership at $8,500, 8%. Justin Fields at $7,500, 3%.
Yeah, $1,000, same game environment, actually at home. I don't mind it, man. I think it's a spot that we can go to here. So
Fields, Pringle, Gabe Davis.
yeah, I like it.
What we have $5,800 per spot. This is why I wanted to go over the defenses first, because where do we go to defense here? Or do we save defense for what we want to do a little bit later?
One of the rare weeks that we usually have our plug-in defense and go. I think the reason we can leave it is because we have such a range of 2 to 2,800 is basically filled. We gave reasons for all of them, and ownership is pretty balanced from 8 to 15%. It's not like anybody's the 40% defense this week. On top of the fact we do have some pay-up options, I still don't think we'll get there because we're going to want to spend our money on these guys. But just saying it out loud, I don't think we need to fill in defense. I think we need to think about which of those running backs do we truly want in this spot. Where are we going here?
I will, first off, because this is savings, if we do want to get up, but it does plug up one of our running back spots, Miles Sanders, Philly D.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Minshew, super popular. Sanders fucked everyone last week. Seems like a perfect spot for Sanders to get back going again.
We would hope so. He definitely did not get any.
$6,200 is a pretty good price.
That's fair. I thought, what was he last week? I thought he was pretty close to that same price, and it did not work. So
It didn't, but now no one's using him this week. But it gives us, if we do like the double correlation here with the defense, if we want to, it gives us a $2,200 defense.
I like that for the flop leg aspect for sure.
So now we have a low-owned running back at a pretty good value price, a cheap defense, somewhat chalky, but not the most popular. But now we're up to a running back, wide receiver, tight end, and flex, $6,500 remaining. If we cheap out at tight end, we might be able to get there.
What are we trying to do? McCaffrey, Henry?
Do you want to try that?
We could try it.
Let's see. Let's see if that works. McCaffrey, Henry.
Yeah, we can definitely do it.
No, that's Jefferson. He's 93. We probably don't want to do that.
If we do that, it leaves us $4,300 per spot for a wide receiver and a tight end.
Well, Marquise Goodwin's $4,300, so that's easy.
And Dalton Schultz is $4,200.
We do have Eagles D. Do you care about that?
Yeah, that's true.
I like Freiermuth this week, now that Pickett's going to be back. And Freiermuth is how much?
Freiermuth is not on the slate.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's right.
You're looking ahead. You're doing the look ahead early, Pat.
That was the name.
You shocked me for a second.
That was the name that popped out to me instantly. Just like,
why is he on my list? Yeah.
So this is tough to use McCaffrey and Derrick Henry.
Who do you like better? Let's talk about that because it's going to go into it's going to leak into our other builds.
Well, you know what? We could use Curtis Samuel at wide receiver.
Who I like, by the way.
Niners bad against the slot. We're using McCaffrey on the other side here.
Yeah.
So a mini correlation that way. Then we have $4,200 for a tight end to finish this out. And that leaves us what? The best option is Dalton Schultz. I mean, do we care? I mean, I won a bunch of money on Thanksgiving using Dalton Schultz against my defense.
You don't have to care about that. I was just trying to look at other. I guess that's my thinking is we don't have to play Henry, right? I like Christian McCaffrey, Curtis Samuel secondary stack. I think it's a good
Sure, but I'm just seeing if we can fit this in. Like you have Schultz. I mean, would it be weird to use Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox if we're not using Josh Allen, but we have the other side of the game?
It still is. At least it correlates somewhat within the game, but it's not conventional. You can definitely do it. Same as you can play. You can just play Dawson. You can just play who we talked about, Dalton Schultz.
Do we like Schultz anymore?
I like him in this spot, but I would have looked for probably a different way to get there. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know, what's that other spot you mentioned there? Just going down to it.
I mean, there is the potential. Like, I don't want to use.
How much is Kelsey? Oh, he's $8,000.
I don't want to use Seahawks D. Well, okay, let's try that then. Let's go. Let's take Derrick Henry. Do you like McCaffrey or Derrick Henry better?
I like McCaffrey better.
I like McCaffrey better too.
Yeah.
So let's take out Schultz, and we'll leave these guys in. So a tight end and a flex, $6,400. If we use Kelsey, it gives us $4,800 for a flex. So there's no running backs really, unless you really love Dare Ogunbowale.
I really don't actually. So that solves that.
That Jacoby Myers is right there. I think it's a nice personal revenge spot for Jacoby Myers this week after being the absolute bad goat of last week.
That was a huge mistake. Wow. That was a bad one. We didn't talk about it. I don't need to, but that was a bad mistake. What about...
How about this? I may have figured it out here. And who's the defense that we like? Do we like Patriots defense at all against Cincinnati?
No.
What about Commanders D? Commanders D? Like if we have up to $2,700 at defense.
No, because then they're going against McCaffrey. I like the secondary stack we have. I was thinking,
I still have that in. I'm just trying to find a defense.
What about this 2v2 we just talked about? You were like it was Kelsey and a guy like Myers, or you can just play Mark Andrews and Dalvin Cook.
I was thinking Kelsey and Marquise Goodwin. Same game. I like Goodwin a lot in that game without Lockett. He fills it out. He's a late slate player. He's a cheap wide receiver in the flex, and now you have $2,700 for a defense, and you've used Kelsey. I mean, you don't have to use all your money, obviously. You don't have to use. If you wanted to upgrade at defense, you could. You have from the Patriots down.
Yeah, that's an option. I don't know. I'm not loving it. Like usually when we find it, I love it, but that's not one that I love. So
okay, so we can continue to spitball this out and try to rejig this
let me do this actually though, because we can check projections here while we're live. We got it. So if we go Goodwin with Kelsey, and then we probably change the D.
You can still use Eagles D.
But even if we go, I'm just thinking like, okay, we didn't play Henry. You could just do the Houston D that we talked about. Just to give an example, or who'd you say? They actually project better for me than the Dallas D, but just to use New England, let's say. I got a number now. I'll tell you the difference between it if we go back to what I was saying, like Andrews Do you like Dalvin Cook this week? He projects really well. I mean,
he projects really well. That's
about it.
I never really liked Dalvin Cook. I never play Dalvin Cook.
It's a point and a half better to go Andrews Cook and back to Philly D with Sanders.
Okay, like that's not the end of the world.
So it's not the worst, but it's just to get an idea. Like that's where I'm saying you can build it. The idea there is obviously too, just so people are following. Like again, we're looking at what we're doing and what we're not doing. So when we're going to the Chicago stack, we're getting the run back with Buffalo. We're taking McCaffrey over Henry, getting a secondary stack in there with Samuel. And then the thing is, like that Minnesota-New York Giants game has a 48.5 total in a dome, not expecting what we saw last week with the whatever, 80 plus, it was almost 80 points. But the point being, or maybe it was more, I can't remember now, I think it was 39-36. But the point being, get a piece of that game and a guy like Dalvin Cook, I don't have a problem with it. And you still get a tight end you mentioned earlier. You don't need Huntley. You can just play Andrews by himself and get a viable mid-tier guy that maybe could put up a touchdown or something and get you there. So
you could go Kelsey and Goodwin, which I like. So that would be with Fields, McCaffrey, Sanders, Gabe Davis, Curtis Samuel, Byron Pringle, Eagles D. Or you could leave $100 on the table and use Andrews and Dalvin Cook is what you're saying.
Yeah.
In that spot. I don't mind that.
Yeah. I like it. I like the Philly D in there that you talked about. They're, down there, they make sense with Sanders. You get the flop lag. I think that Minnesota-New York Giants game, you're going to want something in, right? Even like I'm sure we're going to build for it. It's a full stack. Like that's literally one of the most stackable spots on the slate.
I like the Daniel Jones side better.
Yeah, I do too, and I think everybody does. So it's at least interesting because here's the alternative for this slate is if you go the Kirk Cousins side, you're likely putting in Justin Jefferson and Hawkinson. And when people are paying up for Jefferson, you're not likely to have the running backs that others have because you've now used your money there. So that at least changes it up somewhat. Now you can still go the Jones side, get Jefferson and an expensive running back because you can go with between Slayton, James, and our guy. You got to talk about this guy, man. He's been doing his thing. Isaiah Hodgins. He's looking all right this week too. So you talk about that side of the stack. There is opportunity there. But you also could just leave out Jefferson and Cook and go with Hawkinson to mix it that way. I don't know. There's a lot of ways to stack that game up. That's why I think it's interesting. So we could leave this one. I think we have two good versions of it. You talked about it. Yours is Kelsey, Goodwin with a better defense, up to $2,700. Mine is Andrews with, who did I say? Andrews, Dalvin Cook, and sticking with the Philly D with Miles Sanders. It also leverages some of the Dallas stuff. I don't know how much people are going to play the Dallas guys, but that's another game that's pretty stackable.
The whole point is I really like Fields.
Yes, correct.
That's really what I want to hammer home because we could build the same one out and use Kmet as the tight end and not use Pringle. And you'd have relatively the same lineup.
We should do that right quick if we want because I like that. Let's just go off Pringle because that's where we really struggled when we got to this Kelsey versus Andrews. Not like we really love them or need them. We're just thinking that makes sense. But like you said, if we can just go back to Kmet, you can keep Gabe Davis. You can keep all the rest the same.
And we don't even need to keep all the rest the same if we don't need to because there is a secondary stack that I do really like. I mentioned it's the DJ Moore Amon-Ra. And just those are the two pieces from that game that I want.
So take out Samuel.
I think it might cost us McCaffrey. But
I'm going to start it over right quick just to do that. So.
All right, so Fields, Gabe Davis, Cole Kmet. Let's try Amon-Ra and DJ Moore in that game.
Yeah, and I'm going to leave Sanders in with the defense, how you started it, because I think it's still affordable, and we know we're probably going off the expensive guy.
Yeah, so Sanders in the defense.
But we might still be able to get that.
We have a running back and flex, $5,700 a piece. That leaves us in the range at running back if we wanted to, because you have, I could build a pretty decent team from this spot. I don't mind like a Ken Walker Juju that we could do. You could use Pacheco and DK Metcalf if you wanted to.
Does that fit?
I believe it does. Let's see here.
Are you still using Gabe, though, as the run back?
Yeah. No, I'm short by $1,400. That did not work.
Yeah, I was going to say that might be the only issue here, but
you could go.
You liked Goodwin. This is where I wouldn't mind using Goodwin in the flex. And what does that leave me at running back? Is there anybody? Stevens, Ramondre.
Ramondre?
That's a nice build. It projects 3 points less, but it's Fields, Kmet, runs back with Davis. Also takes up your wide receiver spots with Amon-Ra, DJ Moore. You still get Sanders with the Philly D, and then you land on a 2v2 but of whatever you want to do. But if we like Goodwin as the one-off, since we're not playing, I definitely wouldn't play, by the way, Metcalf as a one-off. He's chalky and expensive. If you're playing him.
I've already built out my Geno stack.
Yeah,
so. Get
him in your Genos. That's what I mean. So, but Goodwin you could just take as the pure leverage off that and just hope he does all right and it's not huge. And then you're using him to get, 6 catches for 80 yards, and if he gets in, even better. He's 4,300.
Also, he's a big play receiver. Like he's the third fastest man in the league.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
explaining it that way because what I talked about earlier, I don't believe him to be the same way as what I was talking about when I'm saying people aren't pairing up their cheap guy. Now, if Goodwin breaks the slate, you're going to want him with Geno. I'm just saying where you have an expensive guy like DK at ownership, where I wouldn't really want to use him as a one-off, I can use the cheap one-off here and not need to have any stack in that game or anything.
So let's keep that exact same lineup and take out Amon-Ra and DJ Moore.
Okay.
So at this point, we can take out Goodwin as well for right now. That gives us 3 spots for $5,800. We could get back up to one of the running. We could take Stevenson out too and just kind of rebuild a little bit.
So what do you have? You have Fields, Kmet, Davis, Sanders, Philly?
Yeah.
Okay.
As the shell. So that gives us a running back, receiver, flex, $6,100 per player. So we could figure out a different one. Like you could go...
I'm thinking about incorporating this Giants-Minnesota game, though. Almost 50-point total in a dome.
Well, I was just thinking, like, if we want to use up, like, a correlation here with a high-end guy, low-end guy, Chubb and Shaheed.
Yeah, we should try it just because we both been high. Like, we've mentioned it enough to say let's do it.
And that gives us a wide receiver and a flex, $6,800 left. I actually think the DK Pacheco would work. We could improve Eagles' D if we wanted to. You go Pacheco. I know you said just don't play DK by himself, but
I get what you're doing here.
I'm trying to play him with. So we do that. We have $700 more for a defense. We can now get up to
29.
Saints D, Patriots D. Yeah.
It's probably it's a chalkier version of it. You just go up to the Saints D. This is like
but
you
we
said.
are playing Nick Chubb, so
Yeah,
that's probably not great. Yeah, that doesn't really work.
Let me look at
Maybe
this.
not
for a second.
Pacheco and Metcalf. Is there a cheaper high? Is there a high end, low end we could use that's a little bit easier?
Who's your favorite Giant? Is it still Slayton?
Yeah, it is still Slayton. I think the reason that it's Slayton is that if someone goes 7 for 130 and 2 touchdowns, it's him.
Yeah.
Like Richie James is going to be 6 for 49 and 2 touchdowns if he scores 2 touchdowns, and that seems.
This projects better. You can get to Slayton, Dalvin Cook with Baltimore D.
Okay,
And that's
Slayton.
fair. It's a good, and it projects 7 points less than the original build, though, just of note.
Okay, so it's a worse lineup.
Which is going to happen when you've got Chubb and Shaheed in there. We're more playing on a hunch than, anything else. But the point being, at least this makes sense. So you've got Justin Fields, Kmet, still running it back with Gabe Davis. You've got the secondary with Sanders, with Chubb and Shaheed. You still have Sanders in there for the flop leg.
And Slayton
and then
and
you've got
Dalvin Cook.
Slayton and Dalvin Cook, and it just lands on the Baltimore D.
Let's talk about these golf stacks that you want to get into. Sell me on the goof outdoors.
Another tidbit. It's up there, but he's been playing pretty. Everyone was on Lawrence. Look how hot Lawrence has been. Actually, Goff was right up there with him since I think it's week 12 now. So solid month that he's been having. I know he's not as good outside. So again, taking a risk here a little bit. But when we talked earlier, just a second ago on those other stacks, we liked Amon-Ra. We liked Moore. So I think we would just start with that. And then I'm just attaching a quarterback. The good news is, maybe the bad news, the fun news, if later we find out that we need $300, we can just drop down to Sam Darnold on the other side. Don't love it,
Jesus.
but it is interesting and intriguing nonetheless. So just go with this for a second. Let's go.
Do you want to add another lion to this, or is this good enough?
I want to add another lion. That's what I was saying. That's why I said Chark. I think we're going to be playing a lot of. I know we're going to be playing a lot of Jameson Williams next year. We're going to see a price increase next year. I haven't seen enough yet. I know he caught that one ball and was wide open and showed off his skill set that you could see from college. But the point being,
why not Raymond at 31? This is what we saw. I will make a comparison to the Carolina defense and the Jets defense from last week. What we saw last week was Sauce Gardner on DJ Chark, and they were just like, we're just not going to throw your way. Like, why risk it when we can just attack soft spots on your defense? I think Carolina with J.C. Horn is set up very similarly, and I think that he takes out DJ Chark. And what we saw was a funnel to Raymond last week, who played a ton of snaps. He's $3,100 plus.
did he?
Yeah.
I got Raymond played 20 snaps last week. The only difference was he got 6 targets on those 20 snaps.
Because when he was on the field,
So when he's on the field,
they're
use
throwing
him.
to him. Plus, he can return touchdowns on punts.
Yeah, it's definitely an added bonus. But yeah, like you said, I never worry too much about these matchup things. Chark is 4,200. I think it's good, but I will use Khalif just to save the money. And he's also a nice little pivot off some of the guys we were looking at, like Pringle earlier, and doing that within the game stack makes perfect sense. So I don't hate that either.
So we've used up all 3 of our receiver spots already now.
That is what I want to do with this stack. I don't see a Detroit or Carolina tight end that I want to throw into the mix.
Tommy Tremble?
Absolutely not. I also don't see anything. And that is where I will say that gets interesting on this is I actually don't mind. I know you don't like some of these guys, but I don't mind Terrace Marshall Jr. And that's why I said if you go Darnold, you can go more Terrace Marshall and that. And I don't even think that's that bad. He's $3,600.
I think I'd rather use Chenault.
Yeah, you hated him last time. That's why I say you can go back and forth between those two. But
I mean, I would prefer just not to have these guys won anyone money ever.
Not really. But
Chenault has actively cost people money.
I think when you look at Marshall, 13, 14, 11, 8, he can still get you something for the $3,600 just to fill it out. And if he gets the touchdown, then it really makes it worthwhile. But again, you don't have to do it this way. I just prefer to double stack Goff because usually it's going to be a mix of somebody that he throws in there.
So who are the running backs in this lineup? McCaffrey and Henry?
Well, we should try for that. That's what I want to see, right? McCaffrey.
$3,600 per player, but we haven't added in a defense yet. You want to go Bears D, save all the money?
Yeah, we're going to go McCaffrey.
I mean, this actually becomes pretty easy. You can go, Goodwin fits in perfectly to this lineup, or if you use a cheaper tight end, you can get up to the $5,000 range. Problem is, there's not a ton in the at $5,000.
So it's Goddard, Goodwin, is that right?
Goddard. Oh yeah, Goddard Goodwin works, I think.
Oh wow. Let's
see, Goddard. Goddard Goodwin actually works.
That'd be our best lineup so far by 5 points.
Really?
Yeah, surprisingly.
To look at this it has McCaffrey and Henry in it, so the projections are going to love it, and it has Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
We're talking about 3 of the highest projected 7 in terms of optimal rate in this lineup. And I just personally really like Marquise Goodwin this week.
Well, by the way, too, we could be rolling up the board because of the fact that we started with Fields, with Shaheeds and Chubbs and those guys in it, and then also we've ran now into Goff. We haven't got to the Giants-Minnesota game yet, I said, when you get to
Kansas City-Seattle.
That game could be sneaky, I guess.
Sneaky? These teams don't play defense, and they have all offense. Of course, it's not going to be. It shouldn't be sneaky.
I don't think anyone's playing the guys besides who are people playing? I'm playing the running back from Kansas City and Metcalf. That's all I see.
Oh, the first lineup I'll read you the first lineup I built this week here in a second. We talk about GENO, but it was a GENO onslaught with a double. Double.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at Juju has no ownership. Kelsey.
Then why
under 10%?
Then why are we playing Mahomes, Juju, Kelsey?
Mahomes sucks for DFS. He's the worst. Like I say, always. He never gets there. Play him naked or play him with Kelsey. He never gets there. There's no optimals.
Then let's do it. Let's do Mahomes and Kelsey and Ken Walker, who no one's using.
Do it. Like I said, that everybody can do it. I hope they do it. It never wins. So if you don't want to win a tournament, play that.
I prefer the GENO side, but
I would go the GENO side for sure.
So this lineup is Goff, CMC, Derrick Henry, Amon-Ra, Khalif Raymond, DJ Moore, Goddard, Goodwin, and then Bears D.
Yeah, we already have that projection. Let's do the GENO side. We can already move off this stack. We did enough Goff. People know what it is. We talked about both sides of it. I want to get to this now that we've talked about it.
Can I give you the GENO lineup that I've already built?
Yeah, what is it Metcalf and Goodwin?
Yeah.
Okay, and then do you get Pacheco in there?
Yep.
Okay, 1 second.
It's like you've seen my lineup.
Sanders?
I don't believe so. I built one. I built it this morning.
J.K. Dobbins?
I have to pull it up. Just give me a sec.
Okay, I'm getting close.
I got to find it here. Create new lineup. Import lineup. See, that's a new thing. Now that I have the extra money in my account, instead of building in the $3, I'm building in the $5.
Woo. Money Mayo.
Big money Mayo here.
Yeah.
There we go. GENO. Okay. So the lineup is GENO with Metcalf and Goodwin and Pacheco at running back.
Okay.
Ramondre Stevenson.
Okay.
As the other running back. Hayden Hurst as a mini correlation with Stevenson, who should be back, and the Patriots are dog shit against tight ends.
Yep.
And then it has Amon-Ra with DJ Moore and Ravens D.
Amon-Ra, DJ Moore. Oh, we got a chance here, Pat. We got a chance. No, it's not going to get there.
I like that lineup.
It's 1 point less than the one we just did.
It has an extra $300 in it if you really wanted the $300. I don't know who you get to, but
we get to your who did we say at defense that you liked?
I like Ravens D.
No, of course. We talked about some.
You could go from Ramondre to Dalvin Cook if you wanted to. That's a potential in this lineup. You could upgrade tight end if you wanted to by $300, which would get you up to Noah Fant as a part of that stack, and you could get rid of Metcalf or Goodwin as a different way to play this GENO stack. But
Let's try and see here. Let's extract some guys from this.
Yeah,
Let's go back to the shell.
I've already been. So GENO.
You've got that one exactly. Let's just go GENO, Goodwin, Metcalf for a second, and decide on this. Like,
who's this?
Man.
Do we want to use Kelsey? Because Pacheco seems pretty obvious as the guy to come back with, to me at least. But it seems like Jarek is going to garner more ownership here.
I think the interesting way to do it is to use Kelsey, because if we're not, the other way to do it is just pound in those expensive running backs, or at least one of them. Mm-hmm. But if we do it with Kelsey, at least it fits the stack. And we just talked about the whole argument of the, not really argument, the point I always make about the Mahomes side is like, it's like Mahomes naked because he could just throw 5 touchdowns to everybody, whoever.
Or he throws 5 touchdowns to Kelsey.
Or you just get some to Kelsey. Now, if Kelsey does have that 3 touchdown game, you would want them with Mahomes. But like I said, because I'm comfortable never doing that, I'm okay if I miss that.
I mean, yes, you might want that unless Seattle only throws to catch up to these guys.
That's the thing, right? But Kelsey could just be that safety net instead of trying to pick the 4K tight end that everybody else is trying to find. With 8 points. His 20 could be enough, and that doesn't mean that Mahomes got there. And the other side is very condensed. The target tree is what it is. You've already said it. Walker's back, sure, that's great, but Smith, Goodwin, Metcalf, done. Just use it.
So the problem,
I like that.
The problem with this lineup using Kelsey in it becomes it's only $5,000 left per spot, and we don't have a tight end to cheap out on. We can cheap out on a defense. That's not a problem.
No, but I think we go back to the Philly Sanders.
Okay, so Philly Sanders. So you're in on Sanders now.
Well, the flop leg piece you brought up, I mean, you literally crushed me last week, but the other factor is no Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts also crushed himself and got injured in the meantime by not giving the ball to Sanders and taking 3 of those touchdowns, being so greedy. So
now we're up to running back, wide receiver, flex, $5,500 per spot.
Yeah, also of note, that's why I brought that point up just for a second, is that Minshew is definitely garnering ownership.
Oh, yeah, I built a Minshew.
Minshew is garnering ownership. Wow, that's a good one, too. A little wordplay there for Gardner Minshew. But
tough.
He's definitely getting in the mix here. So if you want to play a Sanders, who some will go back to, but not enough to make it worth, he's got to be 20% or something here that you can move in. Where did Sanders show up, just out of curiosity, on Run the Sims?
Not great.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be, but I was just curious.
Where is Sanders? Sanders is
0% boom.
6.3% optimal.
Okay, so he's over-owned already at 10% or whatever.
Yeah, I have an 8%.
I think you can add, this is theoretical in my head, it's not true math or anything, but you can add a little boost to it when you know there's some sort of leverage built into it, at least a little bit.
Well, it's funny looking at it. Kelsey is 4th in overall optimal percentage. Juju is 7th. If we use Juju in this lineup instead of Kelsey, now we can really get fun with the running backs.
I actually don't mind that either, because what I was saying earlier, same as always, again, he's not getting any ownership. He's definitely even less likely than Kelsey, where if Kelsey gets 3 TDs, then you would go against it. Because I never play Mahomes, but I'm saying others would, and that would make it work. So, but the point being, Juju would fill up all your wide receiver slots like we just talked about.
And Juju has the highest leverage score of any player on the slate this week.
Let's go.
His ownership versus optimal rate is 8.4%, which is great.
The thing is, like, who is the tight end? Like, we can't get this figured out. Who are we playing here?
I don't know.
I don't even see very many secondary stacks that I like. I don't see.
I honestly think, like, if Hayden Hurst is going to play, I like Hayden Hurst a lot.
So let's do that. Let's do Hayden
Hurst. But he might, there's a chance he doesn't play again.
Yeah, he's questionable, and so is Ramondre.
Ramondre's playing.
Yeah, no, I know that. I just mean, like, for what people see. You never know what they're going to look into.
Hurst has played, or has practiced on a limited fashion every day this week.
You can't quite get there. I was looking at Hurst, Ramondre, and then trying to get to Derrick Henry, and it's $300 shy. Damn. If only we had Lockett at 6,800 playing.
It's $300 shy?
Yeah.
Shit. I was going to say, because we could drop Eagles to Bears and get up there. But
$200. Yeah, see, it's just crazy.
Well, what if we didn't? What if we did Bears D, J.K. Dobbins instead of Miles Sanders?
All right, let's try that.
Dobbins is not going to project well, by the way.
What if we just... yeah, we're still short because it's the same money. I didn't mind the Sanders thing for the angle, right? Like, we're looking at it to try how we're going to beat the field that's playing Gardner Minshew with Goddard, for example. We're trying to play Sanders. Maybe we don't do the Hurst one. Maybe we just, let's just do this.
Well, Hurst is just so cheap. It allows you to really boost it up.
Yeah,
right?
but we can get to a tight end flex secondary stack. Maybe that will help us find it. Do you want Derrick Henry or McCaffrey in this lineup? I think we just roll with Derrick Henry and hope that the rest of the leverage gets us there. And
Derrick Henry's cheaper. Let's go that way.
Okay, so now we have $5,100 left for a tight end and flex.
So
if we look
Hawkinson Slayton?
Oh, does that work?
It might.
It does. Boom. Oh, and it projects the
No,
best
it doesn't.
too.
It doesn't.
Yes, it does.
I'm missing $100 here.
No, because we have to go to Chicago,
Chicago
D, but we
D.
get to stay with Sanders for the leverage. That's what I was trying to do. Is again, you don't need the secondary correlation of Sanders. I'd like it. I don't know if we have anyone at 51 that we would want there. I don't think, but I actually love that lineup. There's the one. See, sometimes I find it and I like it, Pat, and that's the one. So
The other way to go would be, how much is Drake London? No, it doesn't fit. I was going to say Andrews in London, but it won't work.
yeah,
You could do...
This is a nice lineup though, because this is what I'm saying. So this is the best one we've built, and I'm playing this. We incorporated what we wanted to. We've got three wide receiver spots used up.
with Juju, Metcalf, and Marquise Goodwin.
Right. We're using a wide receiver in the flex. In this case, it actually is Metcalf, the way the day sets up. But
Yeah.
the point being Slayton. With Hawkinson, we're using our tight end in a good spot, in a great game environment to still get a piece of it when most are on Dalvin Cook or something on the other side. We go with the flow with Derrick Henry because it doesn't matter now. We're off the board in these other places. This lineup does not show a lot of ownership when you bring in Chicago D, when you bring in Juju.
Miles Sanders.
When you bring in Miles Sanders leverages the Minshew stacks. This is a good lineup. This is what you want to be trying to build. This beats all our lineups by 6 points also.
I still like my first GENO lineup better, but I agree with you. This makes more sense of creating a path to the top.
I can't be too mean to Pat on his own show. This destroys Pat's own version of his lineup. This is the nuts. You need to play this lineup. So this is.
I'm going to. If we talk about the lineup on the show, I'm going to play it somewhere.
All right, this is going to be the one, Pat. So, Millie Maker Mayo, could it be?
I mean, I don't play the Millionaire Maker, so that'd be tough for me.
Put it in the $20.
I didn't even play the $20. It seems like a waste of $20.
Bump it up 1 week. Your entertainment value.
Yeah, but I'm saving the money for golf.
I know. Just to give it all back. That's right.
Just to give it all back.
Actually, you're due for a huge golf year too. You had a bunch of close calls last year.
Well, I won the last event of
You
golf
did win
season.
out.
I won.
I forgot, yeah. So-
I got made whole and more.
The momentum. I forgot about that. We did the tracker on the golf show, and you were like, "I'm down 3,700." Full transparency, and I think you won what 10K or 5K or something to round it out.
I think it was like $9,800.
Yeah, I think it was almost 10K. Yeah, that's what it was. That's perfect. So the momentum is there. I like that call. What else do you want to build? I like this lineup. We should do something with that Minnesota game if you have nothing else here, and then
Let's go directly into that then. So what's the side that you want to build with? The Daniel Jones side or the Kirk Cousins side? Because they're both projecting to be right around the same ownership. I have one at like 13, one at 10.
Christmas. Maybe we give back and do one of both. The only reason I want to do both is because
we can talk about the Christmas Day slate very briefly too. Like we start building out every stack because we should probably talk about Minshew as well.
Yeah, the Minshew side.
I mean, the Minshew.
What do you want to say? Like that's
I think here's my question about the Minshew stacks. The fuck do I use on Dallas?
Oh, you can use bunch.
Yeah, but like who do I use?
Oh, Schultz for sure. If you play Minshew with Devontae becomes Zay Jones of the week, this version of him, what we just saw. And then you go with who just crushed Dallas, that's Devontae. And then you use Schultz, done. There's 3. You can go Minshew with Goddard and run it back with one of Noah Brown to keep it cheap and fill running backs, or go Lamb.
So I built Minshew, A.J. Brown, Goddard, CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, it's aggressive, but it's good. If you're doing that lineup that you think a lot of people are going to be on, not many will go that route for sure.
That is the exact lineup I built last week, but it was all with cheap Jags guys.
Yeah,
and CeeDee Lamb.
my argument is that the running back chalk is fairly good. So, and it usually is. And here it's like there's not like we're going off the board with some. You're comfortable with some guys like Dobbins and like some of those guys. I'm okay with them. I don't love them, but I could see why you would go there. But again, this even rules out when you go a Minshew lineup. Sorry, it doesn't rule it out. You could play it, but I'm saying for the most part, you're going to stack them up with guys and probably not put Sanders in there.
Yes.
And so that rules out another mid-tier cheap guy. So for me, if I'm going Minshew, even if it is more chalky,
you're using Minshew for the savings to get to the top running backs.
All across the board. So it might be like Minshew, Goddard with a run back and Noah Brown. And just say that's the pieces I want. Now I can get my guys in. The only reason I said I wanted to build the Minnesota, look, I think the Daniel Jones side is better. We have more options in Slayton, James, Hodgins, even Bellinger if you wanted. You can mix it up there and use 2 guys with him, get the running ability. I'm just saying I think it's really interesting for this slate to build out off these expensive running backs, the Cousins. It's Cousins, Jefferson, Thielen, Hawkinson. Pick 2. That's really what it comes down to. And I don't know how much you even want to use Thielen. It's just an example where...
Do you think anyone's going to get sucked into KJ Osborne after last week?
No. I don't think they will get sucked in. I think he'll get some ownership, but not...
Osborne is $4,500 if people want to know. Thielen is $5,300. I think Hawkinson makes the most sense, but I feel like Thielen's been better.
Let's do our quick. I'm taking over here for a second just to run what you said earlier because it makes sense and we can get to it quickly and just down to 3 spots. Cousins, Jefferson, Hawkinson, Slayton.
Okay.
All the guys we've talked about and liked, the build version that we talked about.
So not Barkley.
I don't love Barkley this week.
I know, but no, like he is the expensive running. Like, what are you seeing for ownership on Barkley?
15?
No, that's too much.
It's a lot.
He projects as the 11th best play of the slate.
Yeah, I would probably just take my chances there with Chubb if I don't get up. I'm likely going to get up to those other guys, though. But when I build this, Pat, it does land us in a very similar spot. When you go Sanders, Philly D, our starting point that we've just been using as the leverage to the other side, you have a running back, a wide receiver, and a flex with 5,300 left per spot. Now, this is where I think we want to look at, like, Goodwin, Metcalf. Do we want to go back to that? Like, again, we want to try and chuck a piece in.
Say Goodwin Pacheco works.
Let's try that, yeah. We can compare.
Where are you at, Marquise?
And see what that leaves
Marquise
us.
Goodwin.
You're a really big Pacheco guy this week over McKinnon, right? You're just going to...
Yeah, well, I just see he's cheaper and he's half the ownership.
Yeah, Zig when everybody... Oh, my God, that's hilarious.
And it gives us $5,900 for
Which
flex.
is McKinnon. Double running back from the Chiefs. You like it?
No, I don't love it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dobbins. It fits Dobbins,
It
5,800.
fits Dobbins, or we go down to Bears, and what does that get us up to? Nothing. It gets us to a already ruled out Chris Olave.
Yes.
I don't love this lineup.
It doesn't. It projects almost 10 points less than what we just did, which is not ideal. But
Could we figure it out another way? Like
it's your this is your version of it, kind of.
Yeah.
It's like a Mayo lineup because it's Sanders with Philly D, Pacheco with Goodwin.
But we've spent up so much with like Jefferson is so expensive.
Yeah, I'm going to say this one. I will say this one last thing on. You can pick what we do next. Is that the only difference is I think it's actually 8 points. I said 10. It's 8 points less. You have to remember the reason that's not the worst thing in the world is because we have no Henry or McCaffrey. And if one of them fails and Jefferson pops off in the dome, at home, all these factors, you're going to find your 10 points pretty quickly.
Yeah, so essentially what you're saying with this lineup is that Jefferson is a better play this week than both McCaffrey and Henry.
Yes.
And that's why you would build this way.
Yeah, and there's ways to play around with it when you're doing that and saying it because, like, why not play the Houston D? You're saying no to Henry. Why not get them in there at 20? Again, you don't need to because it doesn't necessarily go. You don't have to leverage everything. My point is more that just we didn't really fully leverage everything. What we did do, Pat, is play really good spots, right? You got 4 guys from the Minnesota and the Giants game. You got 2 guys in the Philly-Dallas game. 2 guys in the Kansas City-Seattle game, and it just sort of leans you onto Dobbins with no Lamar Jackson in a spot that makes sense. That's why it's not the worst lineup in the world.
And that game is not going to look good on any sort of projection system.
Right.
No player in that game is
That's
gonna
what I'm
look
saying. 8 points is definitely a lot. You're like, oh, where's those 8 points at? That sucks. But think about everything we just said.
good.
That's what I was trying to...
It's a Dobbins touchdown that he's probably not projected for.
Correct. And it's if CMC or Henry fails and Jefferson goes for 35 or 40 and has one of his big games, good night to those lineups too, right? Or people have them together. I'm just saying it does make sense still.
Okay. Do you want to do any more from the main slate?
Up to you. Do you want to do a Minshew or a Jones would be the final thought. I don't really see anything else because we did the off the board one with
I really truly feel like those are cash game lineups.
Minshew and Jones. Yeah, more so. But definitely, I'll definitely have one of those guys in like my high stakes main cash big field lineup because it just makes sense. Like I said, and I'll play.
All right, well, let's try to build the best lineup that we can come up with for Daniel Jones.
Okay.
I think that makes the most sense. Jones with Slayton.
Yep.
So Jones and Slayton, let's chuck them in.
Do you like who's your second favorite Giant? Would be my question.
Hodgins
or James. I like Hodgins.
I'm going to say Hodgins.
I also
I
would
don't.
say
I really legitimately have no preference. Richie James won me a bunch of money on Thanksgiving, so credit to Richie James.
It's not a 3-game slate. That's on Sunday, so I guess we'll leave him off this. I like Hodgins, by the way. Playing all the snaps, 53. He's playing like 80% of the snaps the last 3 weeks. 15, 15, and 8, but the targets are 4, 6, and 6. He's catching all of them. 2 touchdowns in that run. Like, he makes a lot of sense. And then you're hoping that Slayton also catches one.
Do you want to use Slayton and Hodgins?
I think are we trying to build the best projected version of this? Then I think it's with those 2 and Dalvin Cook.
Okay, so those not Jefferson.
Right.
So those 2 and Dalvin Cook. Henry or McCaffrey?
Let's do Henry to start, and if we need the
Henry.
Or sorry, and if we have the money, we can debate it.
That probably like to use DK.
Can we use DK in this?
Maybe. Let's see, 7,100. Who's the like cheapo tight end that projects the best?
I think it's Schultz, to be honest, if not going down to somebody else.
Let's see. Points per dollar, the best tight end this week is Dalton Schultz or Jordan Akins at $2,900.
We've got Henry, so we can go back to our boy Akins. He's our dude.
There we go. There's our
secondary stack.
It's funny because I used him the week before when you and I were talking. It was either me and you talking.
Me and you talked a lot about
Yeah,
him.
I used a bunch of them. I think he had zero. He had one catch for 5 yards. He actually played well last week.
Look, he's got 11, 5, 16, 10 in 4 of his last 6 games, so it's not like he can't do it, and it makes sense.
This leaves us with a flex and a defense for $46.50 a spot.
So I think we got to try Metcalf. And try.
No, I have Metcalf in this.
Oh, perfect. What did you have for?
I have a flex and a D. Is what I need.
So just of note, I'm not sure what you see on your end, but McKinnon projects better for sure. Than Pacheco.
No, I will not dispute that.
No, that's what I thought. Okay, so if we're doing that, it leaves sort of like the Baltimore D and $200 or whatever you want to do. I just mean.
Let's see, McKinnon, 59. Yeah, it leaves you with $3,400.
Here's the only thing though, is if we go to like the Saints D, if
Yeah.
we think they're popular,
Let's see.
who's at 6,500?
Philly D is the best points per dollar defense. In terms of projected ceilings this week, it's the Niners, Titans, Bills, and Patriots.
Okay.
We use Patriots either $2,700.
No, I like what you said to the Philly D, because then you're still actually playing a piece from that game, and then it lands you on Ramondre, who actually projects very well. This is our best projected lineup today.
This lineup, I had just to read out, it has Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Ramondre, and DK Metcalf. As long as Daniel Jones doesn't fucking stink, you're good.
It's also the fact that you've got him double stacked, so if he does do his job, this lineup probably crushes because those other guys are in such good spots. It still incorporates a lot of these spots. This is what I was talking about earlier about the run backs and stuff. So this still incorporates 4 pieces from the highest projected total in the dome, the spot that makes sense. That makes sense to us, right? We're there. Has some uniqueness in like Hodgins. How owned will he be? I get it. Obviously, Cook will be. And all this is the higher owned version. But then Henry, smash spot. Ramondre, great for his price and the spot. It still incorporates Philly D. Philly Dallas. It's just only with the Philly D. It can still work that way. Look, last week the spot Indy D crushed, and I know the rest of the game got there by the end of it. But when it started off, it was just the D that had got there, and then it's got a secondary stack with Akins and Henry, and one guy in Metcalf, the better play in the Seattle-Kansas City game. So definitely makes sense. The interesting part is, going back, I'll pull it up.
Does Jarek Saints D project better, or Jarek Ravens D project better?
No.
It doesn't?
No. The Philly D you were right on. That's why I said that. But the interesting part, the lineup we just built is only 0.5 better than the GENO build. That is definitely way lower.
That's half the ownership?
Much lower ownership. And that's where we're showing the difference, where that's like, wow, that's intriguing to me, because that's what you want to play in these things. That's the lineup, right? You're going back to it. It's got all the pieces. It's got the leverage. It's got the score. It's got the projection. And it just doesn't have the ownership that this has.
Well, that's what I found so interesting about my lineup last week. Like, I was like, this doesn't seem like a very unique lineup. It has Mike Williams in it. It has Derrick Henry in it. Like some of the highest owned guys on the slate. Just Lawrence and Ingram were 4% owned apiece. Just no one used Lawrence stacks.
Classic, my line. It's not who you play. It's how you play them. And this is a prime example. This makes sense. The GENO one makes sense and was way less owned. But when we talked through it, and everyone can rewind back if they don't remember, we said all the leverage spots and the reasoning for it. It is just interesting to show that now we went to almost a version, at least, of the play the best plays lineup. I mean, of note, let me just see if this projects better. Derrick Henry, Philadelphia D, is McCaffrey, Chicago D. Exact same money.
And?
It actually projects 1 point better.
Really?
So, just a note. Same ownership, basically. But yeah, this is what I'm saying. You can just move little pieces around, and that's a big difference. If McCaffrey gets 50, it's wild thought, but just saying, if he gets 40, let's use a realistic number, and Henry busts, that's 20 points in your outcome on your lineup, and the defenses end up very similar. 20 points goes a long way. If 199 wins the thing and you got 179, that's a big difference. So
it would be funny, too, we talked about Nick Chubb a bunch, and we didn't actually end up using him in any of the lineups that we built.
Yeah, he's not a play the best plays guy, but if you go to him here, even like just looking at it, it's Chubb and 3,100. Not sure if we had anyone there that we liked, but you could mess around with it. Point being, though, is it's there for the taking. But
well, could you just? I guess you don't want to get rid of Dalvin Cook in this lineup,
right?
So you could go Cook up to Chubb, but then we're losing Dalvin.
You can
Cook.
mess around with this lineup for sure, because then you can have the obvious of like, let's pull Akins and go to Hawkinson. You could do Metcalf to Goodwin, like, and still have pieces that are similar in the same and lower ownership and whatever. But
you know what? Let's try that for 1 second. Let's
take out Cook.
Keep in Cook. Let's see. I'm going with a thought on this one.
I thought you were going to go to...
Let's see if I can get there. Just let me pull it up. There we go. So create new lineup. Import.
I think I know what you're doing.
The Daniel Jones one. Let's get rid of DK. Go to Goodwin. Get rid of Akins.
You got a lot of money left over.
Where can I find the money? Where can I find the money? We need to sacrifice at running back. It loses us Derrick Henry is the problem, which probably kills everything. But it's Daniel Jones, Miles Sanders instead of Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Marquise Goodwin instead of DK, but it now has Travis Kelce instead of Jordan Akins, and it keeps Slayton, Hodgin, Ramondre, and Eagles D.
Yeah, I built it while you were talking because I knew what you were doing, and it's 5 points less than what we just had. Okay. But again, much lower owned. That's for a reason. Goodwin is not going to project anywhere near what Metcalf is, but what if Kelce goes off and Akins does absolutely nothing? That's possible.
What would you say is the split between them? I mean, actually, that's actually one of the tools on Run the Sims that I just don't use enough. It's the rangefinder.
So what are you looking to compare?
Goodwin to DK. What percentage of the time does DK Metcalf outscore Marquise Goodwin?
Oh man, this is where my math fails me. I'm not the best at these figures.
No, I'm not either. That's why I.
So yeah, let's use the tool. That's why
I told Justin to build the tool.
Yeah, build me this tool. That's what we need. That's why I run the Sims /Mayo. Important. You can get this stuff and not have to think about it. So yeah, I'm interested to hear what that would be.
So rangefinder DK Metcalf versus.
And to be clear, while you're looking it up, it's how often does Goodwin score the same or more than Metcalf?
Yes.
Essentially. Oh.
Goodwin, Marquise Goodwin.
I don't mean, yeah.
I want to know if it's like 80-20 or like 65-30.
I was going to say 30% of the time would be my guess, but let's just see what it is. Might not. Yeah.
Okay. Marquise Goodwin, DraftKings points versus DK Metcalf. Now, obviously, if it's close, then Goodwin is the serious smash play.
I use Run the Sims all the time, talk about it on the shows, not just because you promoted or Justin, but it's a great tool, but I literally have never used this, and this is honestly, just thinking out loud, an excellent tool for the fact of a situation like this, where, what did I say off the top of the show? I don't like Metcalf. If Marquise Goodwin is anywhere near Metcalf,
he's not.
There's the issue. So,
but you can build these 2v2s too. You can pick two guys on one side versus two guys on one side, and then see what the distribution is.
How low is it?
It's 86-14.
Wow, not even close.
I don't believe that, by the way. I know that's what the simulations tell me. Pat's gut says that's not the case.
I think the simulations are doing better.
Yeah, they're doing a lot better.
I know you're working out in the gym and getting the gut in good shape and everything's there, but from a thought perspective for football, I would trust the simulations more.
The reason I won last week is I trusted the simulations.
That's right.
Why did I end up playing a Lord Sack with Zay Jones, no Christian Kirk, and Evan Ingram?
But on the flip side, and the contrary, and just going with it, not a gut thought. I mean, the people love this stuff, but just talking through it. But like, that's the whole point. Again, could Kelce beat Derrick Henry on Sunday? Yes.
Would you like to know what the distribution between those two guys are?
Yeah, let's try that.
Let's go.
May as well do it while we're here. I just think that's the point while you're looking it up.
I have the page open, so we might as well.
Well, you're looking that up. That's the point. Could that happen? Yes. And then the 5-point projection difference really just comes in. Let's say he matches them. The 5-point projection still exists. The difference. Could Goodwin fall with, you get that extra touchdown, like you said, like you talked about, that it's not going to account for, and be in there, and that makes up the difference? Yes. So that's where it makes the difference.
What do you think the win rate of Derrick Henry and pure fantasy DraftKings points is versus Travis Kelce this week?
Are we using the same idea as what you said, 86-14 before?
It was 86-14 DK beats Goodwin.
So this one is probably, I don't know. I want to go low, on the low side, just because I still think Henry's good. 60-40?
55-45.
That's close. Yeah. I thought that coming through because, again, Henry, no matter what, and I'm not sure how else it uses it, but obviously the stat that nobody's heard yet about the last 4 times. I didn't even put it in the tidbits because I've seen it so many times.
You think people know that one?
I think they know that one by now. But yes, the point being, that makes sense to me. That's one, again, where you're going to say, well, both of us could say it with our gut. It's a single slate, right? We're playing one slate on Sunday. you can take your chances with it. It's just a matter of what you choose to do. But I don't hate this lineup, just to give you.
Well, it's funny because to look at it at the very high end, like when you compare the two players, like Henry beats him in the 10th percentile, the 25th percentile, the 50th percentile, and the 75th percentile. Once we start talking about overall upside, the 90th percentile outcome and above, Kelsey starts beating Derrick Henry really badly.
Right.
Because his best game is better than Derrick Henry's best game.
Exactly. No, I'm with you. I think, again, another just reason to have the tool. It's a great piece that you can look this stuff up and figure it out. If you do, what I was saying, my final thought earlier on it just was I was saying, if you found out that Goodwin did come anywhere even close and near to him, that's when you can also differentiate a spot like that easily to just say, let me get that money and find it. I'll use it somewhere else where the distribution is different. So, yeah, great tool. Excellent idea to go through that, I think. And that rounds up the stacks, I think, for the main slate. We talked through quite a bit of them. The Minshew one we didn't build, but we talked about it plenty, So
I don't want to just really hammer down on Christmas Day too much. It's a 3-game slate. It's a lot like Thanksgiving. Just overall impressions of where you think you want to go. I'm probably going to play like 2 lineups, maybe one like $100 single entry, something like that. Like, it's Christmas Day. I'm not going to be around to fucking late swap my lineups. Although it's a huge advantage this time of year.
Yeah.
Like if you do want to late swap, because I mean most people don't anyway, but like even fewer people are going to do that now.
yeah. It looks like
I love Miami.
I was just going to say, it looks like a chalkier slate. We'll see how things go. But Brady, Rodgers, Tua look to be popular. People aren't going to be excited to play. Obviously, McSorley is the last one on the list, but even Wilson against the Rams. Baker, not that exciting. You can get up to Rodgers for $600 more. So I think those 3 quarterbacks are the most popular. You talked about stacking. When you go to wide receiver, it looks pretty popular that people are going to play Waddle and Hill. So probably Tua. Maybe the other side with Watson.
The optimal right now is Brady at quarterback with Latavius and Cam Akers at running back, Jerry Jeudy, Tyreek, Russell Gage. We don't know about Julio yet on what his status is going to be. Higbee at tight end, James Conner, and Tampa Bay D.
Yeah.
So you're playing a running back. I mean, it doesn't matter on a 3-game slate. You just need to have the best guys. If we look at pure optimals from the simulations, the top 5 players on the slate, Connor's number 1, Chris Goodwin's number 2, Tyreek Hill, Aaron Jones, Jerry Jeudy.
Interesting, like a mix-up there of everything, but not just like 2 guys from the same or anything there. But
and then it's Brady, and Brady is the highest quarterback by a pretty significant amount over Tua.
Yeah, so maybe they do get there. I will have to wait and see. The only reason I say that is because like Godwin and Evans are squeezed between Tyreek, Waddle, and then dropping down the guys like Watson, Lazard. So if it ends up being that Godwin and Evans and the Brady stacks are popular, also remembering that the James Conner 7K price tag can really drive ownership to that stack too, right? Everyone's going to be high on him. It's for good reason. But if you just play him and get different elsewhere, I think that's fine.
I'd be good with fading James Conner, by the way, on this slate.
It's definitely fine on this slate to do it. You've got your boy Latavius, who I know you like. Latavius Murray, we talked.
He was the Sims play last week because Meanie and I were fighting about it. I was just like, because neither of us liked Latavius Murray. It's like he's showing as like a top 3 optimal running back at $5,200.
I couldn't do it either. The slate had so many guys, but yeah, it makes sense. And like I said, that's trust the Sims. Like you said, you talked about it, but I mean, Mostert is there if you want to go to him.
But Jeff Wilson's going to be back now.
Yeah, I don't really think I care as much as others do. That's what I'm saying, especially on a 3-game slate.
I do. I think I'd rather just play Jeff Wilson.
You can do that. I mean, it's to me, I never care about. At the end of the day, even when he was there, he was still getting touches. It was Wilson wasn't taking away too much from him in the games that he played.
Well, he did the first 2 weeks, and then he got hurt.
Even though
shifted back.
It was what 40%, 40%, 20%, and then he got hurt. So it wasn't. He wasn't crushing him. I'll say that.
No,
so
but
we're going to go away.
It was really limiting what you were seeing from Mostert. I just feel like if you're going to go to running backs on this slate, you can actually pick and choose like the guys that you want to. Like you can go to like James Conner's going to get all the work that we know.
I would bet large sums of money on Mostert versus Jeff Wilson for this slate.
Well, let's take a look at the rangefinder and
check the rangefinder.
See what they say on this one.
I feel pretty good about this spot.
Listen, I think that, yes, Mostert is probably the superior play. He's more expensive. He's going to be more popular. Like, Jeff Wilson's going to be a very cheap.
I think he's better, and that's all I really care about at this point on a 3-game slate. I think he's definitely better. I think he'll still get the snaps. I think he can win the slate. I think he's good at 5,900.
He also loves getting hurt. Both of these guys love getting hurt.
He's not been getting hurt lately, so.
Mostert versus Jeff Wilson. It's simulating 10,000 times here.
Let's see it.
And here we go. Oh, wow. 92-8 for Mostert.
There you go.
That's not
Didn't have the Sims. The gut play for me worked on this.
that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I just think it's a better spot. It is what it is. I just, like I said, I'm with you on the Connor thing. I was originally stating that with Brady popping, with Godwin popping, with we know Connor going to be probably the highest owned on the slate at 7K and his volume and workload and everything, with McSorley and all that, I wonder if that drives it up. Now the flip side is, do we get Tampa Bay defense at lower ownership because everyone's going to play Connor, or do people play him against it? You can play him against it in a 3-game slate. I just mean in general, it's kind of interesting there. And then from the wide receivers, like, going all over the place, we're just talking about it. If those two ended up popular, you have Watson, Judy, Lazard, those guys just below the Tampa guys, and then you have Waddle, Tyreek just above. That's what I guess I would say, Pat. The total is what, 50 versus, Green Bay, Miami has to be more popular, 10 points in the total.
I would think so. I think you just use Tyreek from that game.
Yeah.
If that's the way that you wanted to play it, and try to figure out which of the Packers that you want to go with. Because you can go, I think I would rather go condense Brady onslaught and hope it's just the game where they get right, which probably is never coming.
Still, I don't mind it. That's what I'm saying.
Brady,
I like
Evans, Godwin. Who's the defense we can use? Does it matter?
No.
Packers.
Use Denver.
Packers are going to bring pressure on Tua, and hopefully just a bad Tua game is what I'm playing for here.
Definitely the angle to go is if you want to just get off that. That's the other thing, too. Remember, this is just like last week where Mini Indy was super popular earlier, which ended up working out, obviously. But in this case, Green Bay, Miami, the huge total is game 1, not the late games. So
who is the biggest loser on this slate that you like? And you know what? I'm going to get off of Hill and go to Waddle instead. Then I can make this.
What's the lineup that you got right now? Just looking at it. Brady,
Evans, Godwin.
Waddle.
With DeAndre Hopkins as the bring back.
Okay.
Waddle, Latavius Murray, and Cam Akers as the running backs. Packers D. Unfortunately, that leaves us with no tight end. Like Eric Tomlinson.
I don't think we can afford one. Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, we can afford up to Cameron Brate. Like who is the good? There's no good tight end on this slate. Who cares? Like Trey McBride is actually the best one. So if we can figure out a way to get him in, who's another running back?
I like McBride, and we get off Hopkins. Let's try that.
Okay, then we have $7,200 left to play with for a flex. We could use Connor if we wanted to. You can use Christian Watson. The problem is at that price range, Connor is by far the best play because it's 7,000 down to 6,000 based on the lineup that we've built. If you wanted to take out Godwin and go to Gage, now we have some stuff to play with here.
I think the best lineup is the full game stack. You got Brady, Godwin, Evans, McBride, Connor. You get the 2 running backs in the middle game with Latavius and Akers. And of the first game, it's against Waddle, though, but you got the Green Bay D. You can go to whoever you want. I guess wherever you land on that.
I honestly, in this short of a slate, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't. I just meant like you can go to wherever you want. Like you can play whoever's there. You can't get up to them, though. No, you can't get back up to Hopkins, so...
No, it's
trying to do that. I think the biggest loser might be Akers. You like him?
I don't mind him.
Yeah, he'd be fine for this slate, I think.
Yeah, he's cheap.
Is there like another guy? I was just trying to see.
If you really wanted to get different on this slate, just play Aaron Jones. Because A.J. Dillon's going to play, but...
Still hard to afford, man.
No, he is, but like if that's like the unique build that you wanted to do, just full-on Dolphins onslaught and then all the losers in the other game. Latavius Murray, Jerry Jeudy, Dulcich.
What do you think McSorley's going to do here?
Nothing?
Nothing.
Like throw 8,000 picks?
You think?
Yeah.
Couple games. What did he play?
He stinks.
14 points.
I think it's a lot different. Like those starts were with Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot different when you're John Harbaugh. He generally puts his quarterbacks into positions to limit mistakes. I don't think Cliff is doing that here, especially if they have to play catch-up. They are 7-point dogs at home. I know they're a very popular side, a very popular upset pick this week, but I was kind of impressed by the Bucs D last week against Cincinnati, a team we didn't talk about this entire show, by the way.
Do you like them?
No.
Yeah.
But if Burrow went to New England and put up 5 touchdowns, I would be super stunned.
Yeah, that is true. Marquise Brown?
He's hurt.
I think he's okay.
I think he's going to play, but he's banged up somewhat.
58 to 65 snaps last week.
Yeah, he got hurt in practice this week.
Oh, I didn't see it. No Q tag anymore, so I wasn't sure.
I thought it was a groin for him, for Hollywood.
Man, it's tough. I'm just trying to look at other versions of the build. If you use A.J. Dillon.
You know what? I might just not play on. I'll play a lineup or something. Play 2
It's not ideal. I'll dig in as we get closer. The Latavius play looks like he'll be super chalk too, just because he's so cheap and right there. Dillon did get touchdowns and stuff, but again, I don't.
But then he got concussed.
Chase that. Yeah, he's got 4 touchdowns in the last 3, and then I don't know. Maybe it's a leverage slate where last thoughts I'll give anyway. Maybe it's a leverage slate. You play the Green Bay Miami passing game, which everyone's it's a popular spot in the game. But then
play the Rodgers side.
Yeah, play the Rodgers side, and then get like your Fournette or your Rashad White or something like that in there, and get different that way.
I like Fournette better.
Yeah, me too. So
Fournette's starting to. He's
end of the season now. It makes more sense to get back to him.
And you could play him with Brady if you really wanted to.
Know what you could do? Oh man, I don't want to spend too much time. I gotta go. But just I just thought about this. So I'm gonna do it before I forget. If you go Fournette, remember what I said earlier? That defense is gonna be under-owned because of the Connor ownership.
Yeah.
So you just leverage it and don't play that side, and then you go with who'd we say? Aaron Rodgers, Tyreek, and then you go Watson, Lazard. We get our guy Latavius because we're already all over the place. You could get in like a Higbee and $4,800. What does that leave you?
Who did you play with Rodgers at wide receiver?
I played Watson and Lazard. Who are some other guys? Like, what's your thoughts on his wide receivers here?
Cobb to save all the money. They love using Cobb for literally no reason.
Lazard, man, he has to be due, isn't he?
Lazard sucked.
It's been
in
bad.
That game. It's been a bit.
Isn't
for him.
Dobbs back too, though, or what's going on?
Yeah, Romeo Doubs, he's back. I'd use Watson and Cobb.
Okay,
Does Bob Tunyon do anything anymore?
No, I don't think so. So let's go Cobb, and that leaves me 6,100.
Who's the tight end that you use Higbee?
I just use Higbee for now. I don't have to use him. Damn,
Yes.
I'll take him out, actually. Let's go to, who's another tight end we said?
You could use McBride.
Yeah,
we don't have. Do you have Connor in this lineup?
Hey, you can use McBride and Connor and just leave Tampa Bay defense in, but
You could use McBride, and in the flex, can we find $200 for Waddle? Like, could you go down from McBride to no, because McBride's 30.
what if I play Tunyon, like you said,
Yeah.
and then I play Tutu Atwell across from Latavius Murray?
This slate isn't. These teams all suck. This isn't a fun slate.
It leaves 7,000. You still got to play Connor. It's like, man, he's right there.
Yeah,
Just land him.
I think that's why he's going to be 98% owned, because you have to play him.
I'll save this one and play it later. It's not going to be the best though. All right, I don't know, man. We've spent a lot of time. I don't got much more for you.
All right, Tambo. Once again, at Toteg and Tambo on Twitter. You have the tidbits. You retweet it. They're going to draw for $200.
Yeah, $1,000 will go out to the winner. Congrats to them. Congrats to all the winners. 3 big winners along the way. Fun to do. Hopefully next year we can do something similar with golf. We'll keep it rolling. I'm always loving the giveaways. If you go to my Twitter, at Toteg and Tambo, retweet the tidbits today. As soon as you hear the show, just go there. You have to follow me and retweet it. When I check later for the random winner, that's what it's going to be given away to. $200 encore winner. So $1,200 will be sent out by this evening. If not, maybe the $200 I'll do tomorrow for a special that way. But it'll be given out for sure. And then runpuresports.com. You can use promo code HOHOHO25. Get yourself 25% off your first payment.
I've seen a lot of NBA winners over at Run Pure.
Well, that's every sport's going to be up there. And the golf content is going to be insane. I'll do one plug, one teaser. Me, Hoop, Big T will be the premium show every week. That's going to be a can't miss show for the Wednesday show with all the stuff. You and I, of course, will have our live in studio back to.
And Run Pure will be doing, I believe,
Showdowns. Yes, we will.
The Thursday and Friday showdown shows live on Mayo Media Network.
Yes, sir.
And then the premium show will be Saturday.
Not even going to be premium this year. It's going to be free, but we're just going to move it over to the Run Pure channel. We'll try and collaborate that way. But Thursday and Friday nights, and I will be on both.
Really?
Of those shows
So
this year.
you have no life during golf season.
I'm getting my weekends back. Somewhat. Sundays, I'm watching golf on Sunday. I'm doing Showdown Saturday night, but I don't have a show on Saturday night with the shows that I'm doing. There's also potential for a live cut show on Fridays that we have something working out that we might be setting up. We'll see. I don't know. So I might have no life on Fridays.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
We do it 5 times a year, and it's fun. That's I just don't need people being like, oh, it's the Byron Nelson live cut sweat show with 2 people watching.
That's the issue. That's what we'll wait and we'll judge it based on that. But like you said, all those other shows will for sure be in play. We only have the one premium show now though, and it's me, Hoop, and Big T. Going to be a can't miss show every Wednesday night so that you've got all the information, latest and greatest with what we're doing with our money and our lineups.
All right, cool. At Toe Taking Tambo, like you mentioned, runpuresports.com. Ho, 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 25.
You got her.
Boom. At the PME on Twitter for myself. Thank you all for everyone who entered the draw. The ratings, the reviews, they really helped. Made us a top 5 fantasy podcast in the world over the last month. So really appreciate that. Take that, NBC. Pat Mayo experience. Bigger. Don't worry about it. Additionally, runthesims.com/Mayo will get you that 10% off. Just get the weekly. We just talked about some of the tools. We use some of the tools we were trying to build our lineup. So it can be a very valuable source of both projections and simulations. You're not going to find those sorts of tools almost anywhere else. It's a very unique product in that type of way. Listeners League for football in the description. Let's fill that up. Listeners League for golf down in the description. Let's fill that up. And Fantasy Golf Championships.com. 125 to play, 5 max entry. If you want it for the one and done, get your spot now before it's too late. I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience.